right after the last podcast. Oh my god, I felt like a bus hit me. Oh my god, it was horrible.
Well, I have not confirmed whether it was the vid. It's something. I mean, I had a little something. I'm going to take a test later tonight, and we'll see if it's the vid or the Rona or whatever all these
So
names.
annoying.
Stop.
I don't
Just
think
because-
anybody says the vid. I think you're the literal only person
No,
who
I
says
think that's 100% lie.
that. No.
If I get a recording of somebody saying the vid, send it to you. That's it.
I want to hear yeah, but I need to hear that recording. Then that recording needs to start at least like 10 minutes now, because there's even no way, because you're standing there being like, okay, so anyway, and meanwhile you're just like writing on a piece of paper,
somebody
call Corona the vid.
Like if it was in a prior
I'm sorry, pal.
pre-recorded thing, not by me.
This is it is by you. You're trying to get this to catch on.
No,
you're trying to make it.
I've heard it
you're trying
somewhere
to get
by a famous person, and you just can't handle good names.
You're trying to get a catchphrase, pal. And I think that this is a bad way to try and like get your clout, right? To just like piggyback off of coronavirus. That's cheap. You're better than that.
I'm not picking. I'm just trying a different name. The vid.
You just admitted it right there. He's trying a different name. John, you heard him say that, right? Week 18 in the Always Sunday Football Podcast. The championship has been decided, and we're going to break it all down. I'm Dave. I'm joined, as I am every week, by Anthony. How's it going?
It's great. The first week 18.
I think it's the second week 18.
Well, fucking first for me paying attention.
There you go. Hey, John. How you doing, buddy?
Just not doing well mentally, physically, in all sorts of aspects. Sucks.
Down bad, as the kids like to say. John coming off of a championship loss as we crown the new 2022 champion, the Golden Showers. Danny Mac wins his first championship in league history after being an original member and battling year after year for now his 11th year in the league, finally breaking through. This is his second appearance in the finals, first time winning. Danny Mac and the Golden Showers are your 2022 Always Sunday Football League champions. Congratulations.
Golf bet.
Now, to do all the necessary housekeeping, the number one thing that I need to mention right away is that the Bills-Bengals game was suspended last night. We are taping on Tuesday. There was a catastrophic injury to Damar Hamlin on the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, that's more important than the game, this podcast, or anything else that we're going to talk about. We like to have fun.
Not unless you skip.
This is serious. What?
So not unless you're Skip Bailey.
Oh, well, I haven't really seen the fallout of that. I saw his tweet and it was just like the most reprehensible thing of all time, but that's, he tries to do that all the time. I hope that something sticks on him and we can finally shut that guy up, but I don't even really want to talk about Skip Bayless. What I want to talk about is the fact that the game, after 9 minutes, was suspended. There was only a few points scored fantasy-wise, regular season, like real action-wise. And at this point, it doesn't look like they're even going to play the game. Like, they might not even ever finish this game. They might just say, you know what, we're good here. And as it stands right now, our championship has been decided. Okay, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are still in an open game situation for the time being, but the Golden Showers have already won the championship. So obviously our thoughts are with Damar Hamlin and the Buffalo Bills and Hamlin's family and all of that stuff. That's obviously more important. We hope he's healthy and he comes through this okay. However, the Golden Showers league champion, he had great performances from Brandon Ayuk and DeAndre Swift with 26.7 and 27.7 points respectively, and the New York Giants defense came through with 17. Devonta Smith had another nice day. Devonta Smith was scoreless through halftime. He had 0 points, and then all of a sudden in the second half, Gardner Minshew was like, oh man, and just started firing it at Smith. He finished with 20. Josh Jacobs came through with 19.5. Danny Mac's team has put together 138.8 at this time, and I think that is likely to stay that way against PBJ's 116.86. PBJ had an okay day from Justin Fields, which is bonkers because he had 105 yards rushing in the first quarter, and he finished with 132 and only 75 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception, 1 fumble lost. He only had 19.2 points, which is like, if you watched the first quarter, John, you probably were like, this is going to be great. Justin Fields, 40-point day. Here we go. And I thought that too. I was like, wow, this is going to be interesting. And then disappeared, completely disappeared. Yeah. Amari Cooper had a very, very good day, surprisingly good, 27.5 points. Okay. He finished out a very nice season for John. John's been an Amari Cooper guy forever, and Amari Cooper keeps making him look stupid. This year, Amari Cooper finally acquitted John. Yeah, he acquitted John very nicely. He had a great, arguably one of his best seasons of his career, and was fine in the finals. He did what he did the best he could. Curtis Samuel, however, just straight up didn't belong. Who else was disappointing? Saquon. Oh my goodness, Saquon Barkley.
Really started taking over.
Exactly. The Giants just got up so big so quickly that Saquon was just not needed, and he ended up with 7. He ended up with 7 points. Alvin Kamara, another disappointing day, which has become all too familiar. J.K. Dobbins, disappointing day. David Montgomery, disappointing day. John was let down in a big spot, as we unfortunately thought might and could be the case. PBJ finishes second for the second time. Congratulations on a good season, John. Overachieving. I think we can all agree on that. And do you have anything to say? Any closing words on your second place finish this season?
Yeah, obviously extremely disappointed, and the team just strictly did not show up. I felt like either way, how I cut and slice it or how I put my team together this week, it just wasn't going to happen this week. Last week was absolutely awesome. Looking back at my season, just happy to be in second place, happy to win some money. So that's also nice to have. And I feel like this is something that it feels nice to be in second place, but I want to get back into first place. And I want to wish Danny Mac the best, man. I mean, Danny Mac deserves it, man. I don't think we have to give credit to Danny Mac, big credit, the highest scoring team in the league. And he absolutely deserved this. This one of the original members, Class A guy, competitive every single year, usually has a very slow start and finishes out the year. But this year, he just put together a great team, did some great waiver. Oh, yeah, and he just did a wonderful job. He had, he could have started.
He had one trade with you, and there was the player he got was irrelevant to his team.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, I would say big congratulations to Danny Mac. I think I can't, and it's nice to have a first-time champion. Bigs up to Danny Mac, man.
Yeah, fuck those other guys who win multiple ones.
Well said, John. Well said, John. I'm glad that you were the one that pointed out that Danny Mac is certainly deserving of this championship.
We all knew what we assumed the outcome would be. It's any given Sunday, right? So you can't really ensure that. But the odds and percentages were in our favor with what we thought. I guess I am glad that Fields didn't have a great day and would have had to make this Buffalo-Cincinnati game a part of this whole fucking thing. So
great point.
Yeah, I'm not to say yeah, John, I'm happy you got beat up. Right now the score doesn't look that bad, but if his other two players would have been there for sure. So I'm glad that
great point.
Yeah, this would have been a nightmare. They don't even know what they're doing. And if it would have came down to him having to play one of those players as a championship, so that's huge for sure. Look at his bench though. Danny Dimes dropped his best game of the year. Fucking Cleveland's defense 20. Fucking Jamal Williams 25. Just these yet again. He whatever he was listening to or whatever he did going into this draft season. He drafted all these guys. Danny Mac comes prepared every year. He's got his little paper. Oh, it's my third. I got his third round. He came to play this year, and he best draft out of everybody, besides me if they didn't get injured. No, I'm just kidding. But that's not. He did a great job.
Agreed. And the point that I wanted to make was, and I got a chance to say this, and I'm sure John agrees, like when I lost to Bobby J that year, I was disappointed to not win. But if I was going to lose, I was glad to lose to Bobby J. And I'm sure that, John can relate to that in a lot of ways with regards to if you're going to lose to somebody, at least it was Danny Mac. You know what I mean? At least it was somebody who
No, the best.
you can feel good about it too.
You would have been pissed.
Yeah.
You went up against the best team in the league, and what happened, and it's okay that it happened because he had a stellar year. Even though somehow he had 5 losses, he had a stellar year.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was just that the luck of the draw thing, and the same thing. I mean, we could sort of get into the third place game if we want to, but it was just a matter of like how the chips fell. Where Danny Mac ended up at that 2 seed, and things just were. But at the same time, I think our division was also more competitive than John's division. I think that was a factor as well. Where we kind of beat up on each other a little more than the other division beat up on each other. And so that dealt our side a couple of extra losses. But as you can see, and as John mentioned, with this points scored, we had the 2 top scoring teams in the league in our division. And yet no teams had more than 9 wins. I think that there's something to be said about that as well. I didn't even think about that also, by the way, Anthony, where if
you guys would have played, this would have been a problem.
Yeah. Would have been a big problem. If we ended up in the finals.
180 is a nice score from you.
But he would have been able to reach it. We were talking about that in the previous week.
He ended up getting all right. So he scored a 138, but you got to take 6.28 points off because that's what Burrow went in with.
So 132.
He was going into 132 to Monday night and having Burrow and Chase having to score
48, 49 points. So like we were talking about the other day or in the last episode, what lead would be safe? And I don't think 50 points. Like we talked about, is 50 points enough? And we were like, yes, no, I don't know. That was kind of the line, and that's really where we would have been looking at. We would have been looking at exactly that. And to be honest with you, with the way Burrow opened that game to start, he was surgical again. He literally, they marched right down the field. He did whatever he wanted, and they scored right away. If given the opportunity, I mean, there's no telling what Chase would have done, but I think Burrow would have had another 25 to 30 point game without too much trouble. And it would have been very, very complicated.
Yeah, he's got more than half of it right there with Burrow. So yeah, it would have been another sticky situation.
Yeah. And so speaking of the third place game, we'll just touch on that really quickly. That was won by Sweep the Leg, who has now finished in third place for the 2nd consecutive year. And that makes 5 consecutive years where Sweep the Leg has finished in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd place. Just to be mentioned there. That's a good little stat room for you. The score was 180, as Anthony mentioned, to 113.58. Sweep the Leg took a week off. Unfortunately, it was in the semifinals of the playoffs. They went 150, 160, 150, 180, 87, 180 over the last 6 weeks of the season, and that 87 was in the semifinals of the playoffs. Lowest score of Sweep the Leg's season. However, here we are, 3rd place. Can't complain, as John mentioned. You get paid on that. We pay on that around here. McCaffrey, huge game. Thank you very much. After having a no game the previous week, Godwin, AJ Brown, Jared Goff, very solid performances pretty much across the board with a few disappointments. But at the same time, I didn't really have high expectations from Sutton or Gage. To be honest, they were just kind of like in the lineup because of injuries and other things. On the other side, the Rogues, another strong season. Congrats, big ups. Devontae Adams is a freak of nature, but the rest of his team completely let him down in the biggest of big spots, or the 2nd biggest of big spots, I suppose. And the Rogues finished in 4th place.
It's funny how fantasy works, right?
I'm gonna say how oh my goodness, like Trevor Lawrence, my goodness, just 4.48 points, terrible. Just a lot of single digits across the board for Narkowitz. And Devontae Adams, oh my goodness gracious. He went absolutely bananas this game. And it's going to be really interesting. Jared Stidham. Like, who? Jared Stidham. And it's going to be a really interesting offseason because I think Devontae Adams not having Derek Carr there. He came over to Las Vegas because of Carr. That's going to be a really interesting off season.
Also interesting is that we're being joined right now by this year's champion, 2022 Always Sunday Football League champion, first time on the cup. Welcome to the Always Sunday Football Podcast, the Golden Showers owner, manager, proprietor, Danny Mac. How you doing, bro?
Sorry, it's my first time using the Google Meets.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
I have a Twitter and a Facebook, so I kind of know what I'm doing.
Sure. Fantastic.
How's
And you also have
video.
We're doing great, but not as good as you, Danny. How does it feel to be a champion finally after all these years?
It feels good. I mean, it would have been better if I got to enjoy last night's game, even though it didn't really matter. But what are you gonna do?
Well, we were actually talking about it before. We're thankful that it didn't matter because there's a chance that the game doesn't get played, and then all kinds of shenanigans ensue.
Yeah, I would say it's past the point of it's possible. I'm thinking it's more than likely they don't make it up. Not baseball.
Right.
It's just like, it's uncharted territory. Yeah, I don't. And the practical aspect, luckily in our league, it didn't matter, like in that sense,
Right.
in neither of the games. But yeah, I would not want to be you if it didn't matter.
Right, exactly. In a situation where, for example, Sweet Leg made it to the finals, and now the points could mean the difference, so to speak, it would have just been completely ugly.
Or either in your game or in my game, or if I was still down, or if you had guys play or anything, but it just didn't. Well, your matchup, I don't think anybody was playing on either side.
No, ours was pretty easily decided, and thankfully yours pretty easily decided too. So let me ask you, if you had to name the MVP for your squad for this year, not just the finals or the playoffs, but the entire year, who would you say is your MVP?
Oh, Jacob.
Yeah, based on draft position and everything else.
I mean, him or Stevenson. It's easier. You can be prisoner in the moment, and Burrow closed great. It was a keeper, but you expected him to be a pretty good quarterback. Chase was really good, but again, he's a first-round pick. St. Brown could be in the discussion, but Jacobs was drafted in the 5th or 6th round and ended up as the RB2, RB1.
I believe it was 2. I think it was 2 as when everything was said and done. I believe Eckler ended up as number 1. I'm checking it right now.
Eckler did
Yeah,
end up as
last couple weeks. So yeah, I would say without question, it has to be Jacobs.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. And we were mentioning also good job on your draft, because by and large, the team you won championship with and you had the most high score, the most points in the league.
Very much the guys I drafted.
Yep. So nice job. So the next question the league wants to know is, like, what's your go-to fantasy football information site?
For season long.
Stalling. He's stalling.
I read a little bit of everything.
Fair enough.
Maybe the Athletic, because I pay for it.
We have a lot of respect for those guys. We're going to come out and we're going to play our game. We're going to we hope to come out with a win. Everybody on this team works hard. That type of stuff.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I've never been big on trading. I did make a trade this year. Ended up being fairly insignificant. Part of it was very. I mean, somehow, it was completely insignificant.
Yeah, no, you hit on a lot of good players when you drafted, and you were also blessed with good health.
Yeah, I got my injuries out of the way early. I think week 2 through 4, I was a little beat up. St. Brown missed a few games.
I think the significant one that you were able to weather that deserves to be mentioned is a Jamar Chase injury, right? He was out several weeks, and you were able to just keep on rolling through and still maintain the scoring that you were.
Yes, the depth helped. Having 3 capable receivers outside of Chase helped. St. Brown, I expected to be good. He's probably a little better than I thought. Ayuk and Devontae Smith, both, Smith is a little hit or miss in the beginning, but what are you going to do? And Burrow is obviously a stud. And he's probably the only guy who I can say for sure is going to be on the team next year.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, keeper locked in. I mean, I think that's a pretty easy one. You know, we talked about how last week he's surgical. He's been on his stride lately. Last night until the game was stopped, he was just like unstoppable. Burrow is an easy locked in keeper for as long as he's healthy.
Even if they lose T. Higgins, the team's still just ridiculous. And he's ridiculous.
Exactly. I mean, like you saw, he didn't have Jamar Chase, and he was working with Higgins and Boyd and some collection where those guys also were banged up in the process. Now you just replace the Higgins with Chase in that situation. Joe Burrow will be just fine.
And like you were talking about last week on the podcast, he's like the last 4 or 5 games, he's just been on another level.
Yeah, no question. He's just, I think he's playing. He might not be like the MVP. He might not win the MVP. That's probably going to Mahomes, but
already did a couple weeks earlier. He very well might.
Right. Because he's at will. He's just moving the ball at will. He's got like an 85%, 90% completion, and he's just like scoring touchdowns whenever he wants.
Yeah. And it's not like he's completing a 80% completion percentage on dump offs. Like he's throwing downfield wherever he wants to whoever he wants, and it going right into their hands.
Yep. You're locked in, buddy. That's a nice, you're set up. You're finally broken through, and you're set up very nicely for the future. So once again, congratulations on your first championship. And I'll get that cup to you. I have the cup in my possession. I will get it to you as soon as possible. There needs to be some, a new little plaque put on there. And then.
Well, I've waited long enough for it. I can wait a little longer.
Very good. Very good. So, and in closing, we'll let you go, but thank you very much, Danny, for joining us. We really appreciate you stopping in with all the duties. I mean, obviously, you have the big press tour that you have to go on now, the junket, as they say, and then, you got a lot of hands to shake and babies to kiss, a lot of things to sign. Just be careful out there, because now that you're a champion, everybody's going to want a piece of you. Everybody's going to want a piece of you.
You know the feeling.
Twice. I double know the feeling.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. So, heavy is the head that wears the crown, Danny. Good luck out there. If you need anything, we're always here for you at the Always Sunday Football Podcast. Thank you very much for joining us.
All right.
Congrats, Danny Mac.
Later, dude.
Later, brother.
Hey.
Love you a long time.
Now he's going to find the exit button. How do I turn this thing off?
Hey, that's
damn it.
what I'm looking for.
So you guys ready to break down the actual NFL as we look towards the final week of the NFL regular season?
Sure.
The final week is always a little wonky because there's some teams that have a lot to play for, some teams that have nothing to play for. There's still a few moving parts left in the playoffs. We'll try to touch on them as we go along. Fellas, Saturday games. We have the Kansas City Chiefs visiting the Las Vegas Raiders, who were in turmoil, and then they weren't because Jared Stidham is, good, apparently. It's, however, a Chiefs 7.5-point road favorite line with 52.5-point over under. Vegas thinks that Stidham's going to be able to continue to score, but not be able to keep up with the Chiefs. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to take the points this game. I'm going to take the points with the Raiders, and I'm going to go with the under this game. Very easily.
Very easily. Oh, interesting, Anthony.
Well, I agree with John, except very easily. I'll take the Raiders getting that. They're Stidham looked okay, but I think it's just Devontae Adams is that good. If he didn't have Devontae Adams,
Josh Jacobs.
Well, Josh Jacobs helped them the offense. They, for sure. I don't think that the Chiefs have had some rough games this year. Despite let me get those points, and I'll take the under. Still think it's going to be a nice scoring game.
I'll take Raiders in the points and the over because you guys hate fun. Jacksonville Jaguars. Now this game, speaking of fun, Tennessee Titans, Jacksonville Jaguars, winner
division
goes to the playoffs. Right. The winner of this game wins the AFC South and goes to the playoffs to host a playoff game in the first round. Jaguars are at home in this game, 6.5-point favorites over the Titans with a 40-point over under. The Titans will be starting Josh Dobbs at quarterback because Malik Willis doesn't belong on an NFL roster, as we've noted on this podcast. Jacksonville Johnny.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the over in this game. I think that both teams are going to score over 20 points. This is a must-win for both teams. I'm surprised that they have a third-string quarterback like Tennessee Titans that can pretty much score some points. And Derrick Henry is going to be really important for this game. But I'm going to lay the points with Tennessee. This is going to be a really, really close game. This is going to go down to the wire. And I'm going to go with the over in this game.
I'm going to go because of all the circumstances. I'm going to get Jacksonville laying at 6.5. You're on your third-string quarterback. Derrick Henry is a monster, but now you could feel more confident and be able to put a little more pressure on him and probably stop him. And I don't think that they'll keep it as close. I do think it will go over.
I agree with the over. I'm going to take the Titans with the 6.5. 6.5 is enough. I do think that the Titans will be able to score. Josh Dobbs is competent enough, and they have Henry, they have Burks healthy. And I think that the reason for the surprise, Anthony, might have, and I don't think they're the same type of player at all. I'm not comparing the two players. Instead, the situations. Brock Purdy has shocked the shit out of everybody who was the last pick in the draft. He's on perhaps the best coached, if not one of the best coached teams in the NFL, especially for the quarterback position. I'll die on the hill that Vrabel's one of the best coaches in the NFL. And I think he's in, easily you could say he's in one of the best situations and best coaching situations in the NFL simply because Vrabel's his coach and that team is buttoned up. They compete every single year without studs, without stars. They have a solid team. They all play well. They play hard. They're well coached. And I think that's what's going to be able to keep Josh Dobbs competently moving the offense. They're healthy finally. They know what's at stake. If they don't win, I think they keep it at least close. This game is probably going to be, I think it's going to be low scoring for the majority of the game. And then at the end, you'll see at least a handful of points go up as the two teams start to feel the urgency. Panthers Saints Sunday, 1:00. Saints are at home, 3.5-point favorites. The Panthers kind of sort of fell flat there at the end. They made a nice run at it. They made it look like they were going to make it interesting. And it was interesting, but it's not interesting anymore. 41.5-point over under. I don't believe either of these teams really have anything to play for except pride, and it's a division rivalry.
This makes it fun, right? There's these last week games where it's all or nothing. It was like that for us last week. But anyway, not like that winner in. But Panthers they've been spicy. They've been spicy.
Darnold's been competent.
Yeah, it's like the QBs who left the Jets have been okay. It just one took a decade. But
10,000 former Jets quarterbacks can't be wrong.
I'm gonna just because the Saints have just been a mess all over, up and down, hot and cold. I'm gonna take Panthers laying those 3.5, and I'll take the under.
Yeah, this one's an easy one. I'm surprised that Anthony didn't go for this one. I'm going to go with
money line.
The money line. Carolina Panthers. All right, Anthony. I don't know if you're the vid is, as you call the vid, is getting to you, but you got to go money line madness. Carolina Panthers. This is an easy one because you got one of the most incompetent head coaches. Dennis Allen, he doesn't know what he's doing. Like he's completely clueless to a guy that is arguably should be in the conversation for Coach of the Year. But unfortunately, after that loss against Tampa Bay, he is not in the conversation most definitely. But I'm gonna go money line madness because you're not doing the money line madness. Carolina Panthers, very easy.
I changed it, John. I changed it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can see that. I'll join you, John, because Anthony forgot to do it. I'm going to do it with you and do the money line. No, John and I are taking money line in this game together, and only John and I are taking money line in this game.
Yeah, lies.
And I will go with the over in this game as well, just because it's a really low line and points are fun. Speaking of 10,000 former Jets quarterbacks can't be wrong. We have the New York Jets visiting the Miami Dolphins as 1 point underdogs. It would certainly be a greater line in favor of the Dolphins. However, I think they are on their third string quarterback as well. I don't even know his name. I'm not sure if Teddy Bridgewater is going to be able to play in this game. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know. Well, okay, 38.5 points. Teddy Bridgewater probably not going to play in this game. And Mike White has turned back into a pumpkin. I think the Mike White experiment is kind of over as well in New York. Johnny, what do you think about that?
Yeah, this game is kind of going to be a little bit irrelevant. It sucked. I got, gut punched in more than one way, and this was one of the games last week where I got an absolute gut punch. But I'm going to take the points with the Jets. I'm going to take that point with the Jets. And I'm going to go with the over in this game, actually. I actually think there's going to be some points scored for both. The Jets defense did not look as good as they did. But Miami's defense is also not that good neither. So I'm going to go with the over in this game and give you the Jets winning a meaningless game because that's what the Jets do.
I think it still means something for the Dolphins, though, right? The Dolphins are still alive for the last playoff spot, are they not, Anthony?
The Dolphins needed to beat the Patriots last week for you guys, right?
No, I'm talking about the Dolphins' playoff chance. The Jets are out.
I'm a little stiff now.
Your screen is frozen. What's going on over there?
I don't know. It doesn't show that it's frozen on my end, which is weird.
You look like you're taking a shit on the shitter.
If they win, they have a chance to be in. Now, I don't know
Right,
if
but they just need somebody else to
combination.
lose.
That might be the case, yes, but they are still alive for playoff spots. So this game is not completely meaningless in terms of playoff for the Miami Dolphins. So I think that could potentially add some favor to them.
Yeah, I mean, you can't count out that duo of a threat of receivers. They are a fucking problem. Okay. And if you can make a decent throw of a ball to one of them, they're gonna pick up the slack. So if they need this to win this game, I think they're gonna win this game.
I'll take the Dolphins, lay the point, and I'll take the over because it's such a low line, although I don't have really a lot of confidence in that. I think the Dolphins win this game pretty easily. It's just a matter of whether, A, they take the foot off the gas and rest their starters, B, whether the Jets can put up a fight at all. Bucks, Falcons, the Buccaneers clinched against all odds the NFC South last week with their win. So they're in the playoffs, and I don't think they can do anything to change their seeding right now. I think they're locked into the 4 seed, if I'm not mistaken. They are, therefore, 4-point underdogs on the road to the Atlanta Falcons because they're expected to rest most, if not all, of their starters. And there's only a 40.5 point over-under. This is one of those games. Now, this might be a little bit more on the meaningless side. Tampa Bay, Johnny.
This one's going to be an interesting one. Atlanta, they're just absolutely lost. I just don't trust this coaching staff. They just never really figured it out. I think that Tampa Bay, with their rested starters, still beats the Atlanta Falcons. So I'm going to go with Moneyline Madness.
Yeah, I've ruined lives out here. I've ruined lives.
And then I'm going to do the under.
I've turned John into a Moneyline Madness fiend.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
There was never money lines until halfway through for anybody else.
Well, no, you don't have to talk about money lines anymore. We know John's brain is broken permanently. What about this game? What do you got on the Falcons Bucks?
Give me the Bucks.
John has money line madness. He himself has gone mad
4 because they're going to be. I think they can still keep it close, but I'd rather take those points there. The Bucks getting 4.
I'll take the Falcons at home in this one, being a little more inspired, playing harder to the end here. Because, I mean, you can even see backups get rested depending on how this game goes. And give me the under. Vikings, Bears. Yeah, that Bucks-Falcons game is going to be gross. Vikings, Bears. Bears are at home. 5.5 point underdogs. The Minnesota Vikings still playing for seeding, although they can't get the first seed. They still can get the second seed or potentially even, I believe, the 3. I think they're between 2 and 3 right now. 46 point over under. Anthony, Vikings, Bears, before we get to Johnny and his man crush.
I mean, I'm twitching right here because there's not many money lines to choose from. And Minnesota,
so you have the madness as well.
Yeah, well, just Minnesota. We've called them out to be somewhat fraudy. A little bit. I mean, so why not Why not? If Fields can start this game like he started the first quarter and continue it, they could win this game. Give me that money line madness. Give me that gambling week 17. I'm just twitching out here.
18.
I'll go with the over too, because 46. These guys are gonna. I mean, the guys are gonna score. These guys are gonna score.
Wait, you took the Bears money line?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, John.
Jesus Christ is right. And Justin Fields
How
might
is
not
Jesus
even
Christ?
play. And
Yeah, Justin
also
Fields probably
Justin
isn't even
Fields
gonna-
might not even going to play this game because the offensive line for the Bears is absolutely horrendous, and they need to protect their quarterback. This is going to be an easy one for me. Give me the points in Minnesota and give me the over on this game because Minnesota needs to stomp on Chicago and score some points. I do think Chicago's going to score enough points to go with the over in this game, but Minnesota's just going to rack it up on Chicago's defense very easily.
Yeah, see, I don't. The over makes me. I'm definitely with you laying the points of the Vikings, but I'm going to take the under here because I don't see if Fields plays, it's not going to be much because as soon as the Vikings get up to like a 2-score lead, that's it for him. He's done. Vikings do need to press it and win the game, win the game safely and convincingly, which I think they'll be able to do, but I don't know that they're going to be able to or going to want to need to run it up. So I'll take the Vikings with the points and the under. And Anthony's a madman. He's just out there living his life. Love it. 1 o'clock. Colts Texans. Ugh. This is a gross one. Oh, and the other thing is, before we get off the Bears want to lose because of draft position. They're like in the top 3, 4 right now. They're up there.
Yep.
So they have a very valuable draft pick, and a loss only helps. A win would just be a disaster for them in the future for years. Set the franchise back. Texans, Colts, disaster itself. Shitfest. Colts at home, 3-point favorites over the Texans, 38-point over under. John, does this game matter?
No, it absolutely doesn't. Actually, this is a very
Anthony, does this game matter?
No.
All right, John, you got something? Go ahead.
Yeah, this is an interesting, points scored. But the Texans need to lose this game in order to secure their number 1 spot, I believe. So if Anthony wins his money line madness with the Bears and the Houston Texans win, there's a possibility that they lose the first overall pick, which we all know it's going to be Bryce Young.
Do we know that?
So it's going to be Bryce Young. Easy.
Okay.
He's going to be the number 1 overall pick. I'm going to lay the points with the Colts. I'm going to go with the under in this game. Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Anthony?
Same.
I will. Yes, agreed. We've been saying it all season. Colts, points, under. Browns, Steelers. Steelers looking frisky, looking to close the season. I think they might be alive for the playoffs. It's the last seed as well. Browns. Yes. Browns are visiting as 2.5-point underdogs, 40.5-point over under. The Steelers are frisky, but not really that good. The Browns are just playing abysmally bad right now.
Yep, gonna give me those Steelers laying 2.5. I'll take the under here just because they're both just a little shaky. But I saw it the other day. Tomlinson hasn't finished yet with a negative record. It's always been a positive record.
It's never been under 500.
Right.
Ooh, that's going to be a tough one. I'm actually going to go with Cleveland with the points. They keep this close. I think this game is going to be close, and I'm going to go with the over in this game. I think there's going to be some points that are going to be scored in this game. So with that being said, it just makes it really interesting, this money line, but I'm going to stay away from it because I just simply don't believe it. And you can't bet against Mike Tomlin in history.
You just bet against them. The Steelers laying the points and give me the over 40.5 here. The Steelers, I think, are going to play this game to win it because they are, in fact, I just checked, alive for the playoffs. If they win and the Dolphins also win, the Dolphins get it. But if the Dolphins somehow don't win, then the Steelers do get into the playoffs. So they are still technically alive. They're going to play hard here. Tomlin, I think his players want to keep him above, even though if he finishes, let's say, for example, as a tie, that still counts. They want to keep him above 500. They want to play as hard for him as possible and put themselves in a position to finish on a win and have a chance. So I'll take the Steelers and lay the points and the over. Rams, Seahawks 425. Seahawks are at home. They are also vying for a playoff spot. They are the second most likely team to make the playoffs with a win out of the three that we'll talk about. 6.5-point home favorites over the Rams with a 41-point over-under. If the Seahawks win, they put themselves in a position to be in, and they take precedent over the Lions, but not over the Packers.
Yeah, I'm going to take – ooh, man, this is going to be a tough one. A lot of playoff implications here. Playoffs. And I'm going to go with the Seahawks with the points, and I'm going to go with the over in this game. I think there's going to be some points scored on both sides. I think that Seattle could definitely put up over 20, and I also think the Rams can also put up some points because the Seahawks defense just is not that good.
Yeah, I'll agree. I'll take the Seahawks laying the 6.5. That 51-point game out of the Rams was like flukish to me. I guess you can't count out certain players, but Seahawks have just been a better team, and I'll take that. And I'll go with the over just because it's fun.
Same. Seahawks with the points, laying the points and the over. Giants, Eagles. Now, this game is just gross because the Giants have locked up, I believe, the 6th seed. They can't really do anything else. Like, they're pretty much going to be the 6th seed, like, no matter what. So they're inclined to rest some starters in this game. The Eagles, however, having lost the last two, must win this game to get the number 1 overall seed. Their backs are against the wall, which says to me Jalen Hurts most likely is going to play. They are 14-point home favorites, which Vegas thinks Jalen Hurts is probably going to play too, with a 43-point over-under. Giants, like I said, likely to rest their starters.
For sure. I don't think they're in now for sure. There's no reason to risk anybody. Nobody thought they were going to be here, but now they're here. And now it's each week is each week and any given Sunday. So there's some of those key defensive players that we might want to rest. You know, defense has been coming up huge for us. But 14 points is still pretty big. 14 points is still pretty large. So I'm going to take the Giants getting 14 and the over. Because 43 is too low for me.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Anthony with the 14 with Giants. However, I'm going to go with the under in this game because I don't think that both these teams are going to be playing for anything. There's not going to be a sense of urgency. I actually think that the Eagles are going to go up quickly and bench Jalen Hurts after the second half. I think Gardner Minshew is going to go in there, and then the Giants' backups are going to start scoring a little bit because the Eagles' defense. It's going to be one of those really weird games. So I'm going to go
backdoor
with the
cover
point.
on 14.
Yeah, backdoor cover with the 14, and then I'm going to go with the under. It just goes under.
Agree with John. Dallas visiting Washington. Now, Dallas still alive for the number 1 seed, as it turns out. For example, if the Eagles somehow slip up and lose this game and Dallas jumps them, Commanders are at home as 5.5-point underdogs, which, I mean, could be more if, because the Commanders are out, all the way out. They have nothing to play for. They've been eliminated. And the Cowboys have quite a lot to play for, or a considerable amount to play for if you talk about home field. 41-point over-under. Anthony, why is this not a bigger spread?
Divisional game would be my guess here. We always keep it very, very frisky in this division and in a lot of divisions, but there's a lot of hatred here. But give me the Cowboys laying at 5.5. Give me the over because they're just going to score 20 plus on them alone.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take the Commanders with the points this game, and I'm going to agree with Anthony. I'm going to go with the over.
Wow.
I'm going to go along with Anthony, Cowboys with the points and the over. I think Cowboys take care of business here. Arizona Cardinals, San Francisco 49ers. The Niners are at home, 14-point favorites. The Cardinals are just a train wreck right now. 40-point over-under. I'll just get it out of the way. I'll take my San Francisco 49ers and lay the points, and I will also take the over.
Are they playing for anything?
They could be the number 1 seed.
Not a number 1 seed. And Arizona's poopy doopy. Yeah, I guess I'll have to go with you there. I was questionable on that 14. Be like,
It's a gross. It's hard. Yeah, it's a gross number, but I just don't think like this is like a non-backdoor coverage.
The defense could score Niners defense could score 14. So I guess with that being said, I'll take him.
Yeah, like there's not going to be any DeAndre Hopkins, most likely. I think he's done playing for the season until the Cardinals figure out what the hell's going on. It's just going to be one of those things where it's just going to get ugly and out of hand, and they're just not going to be able to come back from it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with both you guys. I'm going to take the 49ers, and I'm actually going to go with the under this game. I just think that Arizona's just not going to score any points. They're going to score maybe 3 points, and 49ers just stomp on them, and this game just gets ugly very quickly. So give me the points with the 49ers, and I'm going to go with the under.
That's actually, you're probably actually right, John. I was probably silly to take the over. Chargers, Broncos, 3.5 point home underdogs are the Broncos. The Chargers are already locked into the playoffs, and I don't think they can really do much with their positioning. They are only 3.5 point road favorites with a 39.5 point over under to these Broncos who just need to be put out of their misery.
Broncos country, let's hide. So I'm going to go easily with the points with the Chargers, and I'm going to go with the over in this game, though, because I think the Chargers are going to score some points. I think the Chargers are going to kind of let off the gas. It's going to be one of those weird games, and it's going to go over and piss some people off.
Chargers and over, same.
Same, my Chargers.
This game was flexed to Sunday night, and that is the Lions and the Packers because of the playoff implications. However, like the big spoiler is that at 4:25 the Seahawks play. So if the Seahawks win at 4:25, the Lions are eliminated. They can't make the playoffs. So this game could be meaningless for the Lions by 8:20 at night. We're going to know, and then that changes absolutely everything. Right now the Packers are at home, favored by 4.5, with a 49.5 point over under.
I guess that'll it depends. Like I would take them money line if they needed to win it and in it.
Right. Well, it's okay. Go ahead. Keep going.
So if Seahawks somehow lose to the Rams, which worse, crazier things have happened.
It's true.
Then I will take the Lions money line and the over. If Seahawks win, give me the Lions getting 4.5 and the under. I don't like your face.
Okay, well, what would you pick right now, not knowing the outcome of the other game? Because we don't actually right now. For the people who are watching this, we don't know what's going to happen in the 4:25 game, so we have to make a choice.
So give me the Lions with the points and the over.
Yeah, Anthony, I think you're absolutely wrong about this one. You have to go money line madness, Anthony. Where is your – I'm telling you, man, what is wrong with you today? Money line madness. The Detroit Lions are a better team. Matt LaFleur does not know what he's doing. I mean, I'm surprised Dave even watches Packers games anymore. It's just that bad. They're abysmal. So
I'm surprised anybody watches Packers games.
So I'm going to go money line madness, Anthony.
Line. I like it.
I am going to lay the 4.5. I'm going to lay the 4.5 with the Packers because my bet is based on the fact that I think that the Seahawks are going to beat the Rams and basically eliminate the Lions. And the Lions going into this game, their only motivation is going to be knock the Packers out of the playoffs. And I know Dan Campbell's a great coach, and that's probably a great motivational tool that he can use for them because that's right up their alley, I'm sure. Don't let the Packers – if we can't go, the Packers can't go either, that type of thing. I don't know that that's going to be enough to sustain them for the entire game when the Packers are literally fighting every single play to make the playoffs. Packers do have enough weapons. They're just very stupid about the way that they use them. And, if Christian Watson catches the wide open touchdown bomb or two that he has every opportunity, every single week, where he's got a wide open opportunity to catch a touchdown pass, and he'll either drop it or he'll catch it. If he catches it this week, and it was the same thing, John, you'll remember when Sanchez had Braylon Edwards. and
Oh,
Santonio Holmes. Santonio Holmes sliced and diced the league, and he kept Mark Sanchez afloat.
Yep.
Braylon Edwards had a play every game where he was wide open down the fucking field, and Mark Sanchez would just put it out there, and sometimes he would catch it, and sometimes he would drop it. And when he caught it, he was a hero, and everything was great, and the Jets just smashed. And when he didn't catch it, what the fuck is he doing? Braylon Edwards, blah, 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 blah. Same fucking thing. Christian Watson, same guy. I mean, not the same guy, but you get it's the same sort of like pattern right there. So, I mean, I've seen that a million times. Christian Watson catches it, the Packers are a problem. He drops it, they have a problem. So, but and the other factor to me is that if it turns out that the Seahawks do win, as I'm predicting they will, this line's going to move before the game starts. And you're not going to be able to get Packers minus 4.5. It's going to be Packers minus 7.5 or something like that, or 6.5, you know, because the Lions are just going to be a little less motivated. I would be surprised if that didn't happen in that case. So give me the Packers with laying just 4.5. And I will take the over, though, because I think that, you know, you guys are talking about it. The Lions will be motivated enough by, if we can't go, they can't go either, to play. But will it be able to sustain them long enough to win this game? I don't think so. So that's that. That's the slate. I know that we didn't go over our picks from last week. I can do that very quickly. Me and John went 0 for 3. We both were wrong on every single pick. Anthony, how'd you do last week?
So was I.
Okay, well, there you go. Nice and easy. We have one more regular season week and then some playoffs to get it right. My 3-pick parlay this week is going to be nothing too risky. I'm going to do Titans plus 6.5. I'm going to do Niners minus 14, which I guess technically is risky. And then Packers laying the 4.5, just plus 5.95, $6 win. But I want to try and get one because, you know, I like to get one.
Yeah, I'm going to go money line Carolina. I'm going to lay the points with the Commanders. And I am going to go with money line Detroit.
Oh, baby. So your total is, $12.63. And $1 will win, $13.63. Good luck, sir. Anthony?
I am going to take the Panthers money line. I'm going to take Dallas laying that 5.5 and the over in that game.
Plus 829. Nice. That's good. See, that's not unreasonable. That's I think anything plus under 1,000. I feel like we made
This is my first one under 1,000.
Responsible bet. You know?
This is my first one under 1,000.
I'm not surprised by that. You know what else has been under 1,000 for a lot though? Is our DFS scores. This this week, however, our cumulative score was under 300, which is not good. Yeah, it was very, very bad. In third place this week, the guy who's going to be going back through the thing and tallying up all the wins and losses was Anthony. 79.6 points. He had Jared Goff, who had quite a nice day, but lots of duds, which I think a lot of us had the same duds this week, which is why we all
had the same people.
Yeah, it was gross. So we did, Anthony and I had quite a bit of crossover. Luckily, the ones that we differed on, I was able to squeak out a few more extra points. In second place was John, 82.3. He had ATN, which was one of those players that I had different from Anthony, I believe, who had a really nice day. The rest of his team, another bunch, unfortunately, a bunch of duds. Mike White really did not deliver the way any of us expected that he would. I think we all played Garrett Wilson, right? Yep. We all played Amon-Ra St. Brown. He did not play well. And John came in second place. And I won this ugly week with a 110.3. I had Goff, who had an okay day, just like Anthony. I had ATN, who had an okay day, just like John. I had Tyler Algier, who was fine. And then a bunch of snowflakes. So I won this week. And now that gives us one more week in the regular season of the DFS lineups. And then we'll try to do some lineups for the playoffs and see when Anthony tallies it all up, we'll see what the score is.
Well, so if you had to guess right now, after playing one more week, what would that be? So that's 18 weeks. John, we know John only won once.
Yes.
I believe that's correct.
So that means there's going to be 17 dubs available. Where do you think you're at?
I would
You
say
think
that
you're
I'm
like-
I'm in a very slight lead, maybe 1 or 2 weeks ahead of you. 1 or 2, because I think I jumped out to an early lead and then you caught up quite a bit and potentially even took the lead. I'm not sure, you'll tell us. And I think that right now, and then I stabilized a little bit, and we kind of been going back.
I do
and
remember
forth.
that in the
The
beginning.
last couple of weeks, we've been going back and forth a little bit. So it's really been. I think it was like I went on a little bit of a run, then you made a run to come back and maybe even take it back, and then the last couple of weeks with the John win sprinkled in there somewhere, you and I have kind of been like trading punches. So I'm interested to find out how it ends up too. So next week, what we're going to do, obviously, we have no fantasy football breakdown. So what I'll do right now is sort of like lay out how we're going to sort of wind down the fantasy, or rather the NFL portion of the podcast, and continue the fantasy football analysis, continue the football talk in a way that we can keep going episode by episode, week after week. What we're going to do is next week, we're going to break down the results of the NFL in terms of what the actual playoff teams are, when it all is said and done. Okay, which teams are into the NFL playoffs? We're going to introduce our NFL playoff fantasy game that we're going to be playing. We're also going to talk about the year-end awards that we do every year in our fantasy league. And then we're going to lay out a menu of the different episodes that we're going to be doing moving forward, sort of like debriefing ourselves on what we saw this past season, kind of break down everything down, process the information that we saw so that we can make our notes for what we learned this year and remind ourselves next year. And then we can start to look ahead to the next fantasy season, the next NFL season, in terms of not only quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, but coaching staffs, coaches in general, which coaches we think are going to stay, which coaches we think we're going to go, players in their offensive systems, who gains value, who loses value, things like that, as we process the information that we've learned and look ahead to hopefully have a Danny Mac like draft next year. I guess try to have fun watching some of these weird games in the final week of the regular season. Understand that we all know that it's just a game and there are far more important things than football or fantasy football. So thank you guys for not only doing this podcast with me all season long and devoting the time, not only for being in this league with me for 11 plus years and devoting the time, but, for being good friends. Appreciate you guys. And I'll see you next week, where it's always Sunday.
Later.